It's the week beginning the 16th of July, and this is Business Unwrapped, brought to you by Barclays Corporate Banking. All through this bonus series, I'll be speaking to industry experts about a big business story from the week that shapes how we live our lives in the years to come. I'm Olly Mann. Let's unwrap the business week. And joining me today from the Week Junior is Felicity Capon, and alongside her is our special guest for this week, the travel journalist and broadcaster Simon Calder. Simon, you've been all over the world, presumably just in the last fortnight. Give us a sense of where you've been travelling recently.
I've been to a number of countries, including one which doesn't exist, Transnistria, and it's the last gasp of the Soviet Union that you can find anywhere on Earth. Absolutely fascinating, completely illegal, recognised only by other breakaway republics like Abkhazia and South Ossetia.
OK, well, Simon, you are actually here to open our eyes to something that's happening in the tourism industry right now, as opposed to the distant future. What have you brought with you this week?
Well, this is about a destination which has been for far too long off the agenda for almost all UK travellers, but now, thanks to a remarkable sequence of events, I think is going to be opening up.
Frozen somewhere behind the sea.
I know stick isn't really easy.
Speak from soul, not really easy. But it's time to speak now. Stop. Wait a minute.
Мы знаем, Россия очень гостеприимная страна, но иностранцам кажется, что мы мрачные, угрюмые и неулыбчивые. Расскажи всему миру, что Россия лучше, чем они думают. Пусть приезжают и убедятся сами.
Speak from soul, not really easy. But it's time to speak now.
A Russian advert for Orbit chewing gum released this month to coincide with the Russian World Cup finals. And Simon, that campaign encouraged Russians to try a little English out on football fans. I'm guessing that's not quite the story you want to tell.
Well, I am really enthused about the way that the World Cup has worked, although, of course, for England, we wish it had worked in a slightly different way. However, there was so much official opprobrium being poured onto Russia, understandably in the light of the fact that since they were awarded, in a possibly questionable way, the right to hold the 2018 World Cup, they have, let's think, invaded Crimea, which is still illegally held. They have been held responsible for the downing of MH17 with the deaths of nearly 300 people. And the response from governments, whether it's the UK Foreign Office, the State Department in the US, was, well, you can go if you want to, but we really wouldn't advise it. You know what those Ruskies are like. You're going to have to watch out for anti-British sentiment. Like thousands of other people, I've been over in Russia for the World Cup. It was friendly, it was open, it was welcoming. There was no trouble at all of which I was aware. And I've been going to Russia for decades, and this was the best mood I'd ever found the nation in. And I'm genuinely hopeful that as a result of the World Cup, the people will start responding, saying, well, hang on, people, you open up your country to tourism, you suspend the normal visa rules. People come in, they spend lots of money, they create jobs, they have a great time. We show them what a wonderful country Russia is. What's not to like about this? Why are you making people go and stand in line in London or Edinburgh and be photographed and fingerprinted? Why don't you just sort of carry on letting them in? And I think we may see the resurgence of tourism to Russia, the world's biggest country, which at the moment I think probably gets fewer British visitors than it did when it was the bad old USSR.
So some of the concerns that were voiced in the build-up to the World Cup by British travellers and those advising them completely groundless then. I mean, basically the implication, it seemed to me, was if you're gay and if you're black in particular, think twice.
Oh, very much so. Very strident warnings. And, well, I was in Kaliningrad for the Nigeria game. So, obviously, lots of Nigeria fans there. What sort of trouble are you getting? Trouble? None at all. Most of the time, people just want to pose for pictures with us.
Felicity, it's obvious, I guess, that Russia is more open to the world right now as a result of the World Cup. But, I mean, you look at what happened after London 2012, and actually we had a rise of nationalism in this country and ultimately a closing of some borders. So it's not inevitable, is it? The result is everyone's like, brilliant, come here.
No, I don't think so. And I think there is that distinction to be made between a sort of short-term boost for Russia, which I think you will see, more jobs have been created, the hotels would have done really well, and then a long-term boost. And I think you always see this with World Cups or the Olympics. Is the legacy going to last much beyond a few months or a year? As someone who's never been to Russia, there are some sort of promising signals. According to the comparison website Skyscanner, interest in flights to Russia from July 16th, which is the day after the final, to May next year, are up by 76% compared to the same period last year. So it does certainly seem that this could be a long-term boost. And I think that's perhaps because the World Cup campaign has been run so efficiently this year. I haven't heard any negativity, even from, living in the UK, which is a nation that is sort of, we do have problematic relations with Russia. It seems to have had glowing reviews, no hooliganism, as Simon was saying, no sort of signs of racism or hostility. And so hopefully this will sort of augur well for the country.
Is it a good thing, though, for the West if tourism does increase to Russia? I understand why it might be a good thing for Russia.
Sorry, I'm going to get very pious here, do forgive me. But I think tourism is a genuine force for good pretty much wherever it happens on the planet, both culturally, because it helps people realise that there's much more that holds us together than keeps us apart, but also because it's a fantastically efficient way of transferring wealth and employment to countries which need more of both. And certainly the ordinary people in Russia could do with something which makes their state rather less dependent on effectively just stripping as much hydrocarbons and minerals as they possibly can, and keeping most of the wealth in the hands of a very, very few, very, very rich people. So, yeah, small-scale tourism is far better than large-scale extraction.
But some people in the media and in politics before the World Cup kicked off were saying for this very reason, because people like you would be coming on the air and saying, great, haven't Russia proven themselves to be the kind of country you can go and get along with? For that very reason, the World Cup never should have gone to Russia in the first place. They say a similar thing about Qatar.
Qatar, how long have we got? That is the constant danger, that the Kremlin will just say, right, thanks very much, we'll pocket that, all the great things, that's entirely because of us. It will bolster Putin's position. It will make the chances of something approaching Western democracy in Russia even less likely for a while. It's horrible to think that that's going to be one consequence. But I think to counteract that, the fact that the Russians have been told to be suspicious of us, and then we all turn up and actually, we like a beer and they like selling us a beer, but we're generally good-natured. I think that is more positive than not. But on the subject of Qatar, which I'm actually going to the week after the final, because I want to see how prepared it is for the World Cup. It's going to be exactly the opposite. Part of the joy of the World Cup is that you get to go to places like Sochi and Rostov-on-Don and Nizhny Novgorod and Kaliningrad and Volgograd and all these other places. And part of it's the adventure is the travelling. And if you're just on this little thumb of desert, which has half a dozen stadiums put up by exploited labour, that's not very exciting, and frankly neither is the fact that it's going to be a bit of a struggle to get a drink.
But it's not different, is it, Felicity? Because we will, in 4 years, in all likelihood, be having this conversation. People will be saying, Qatar have proven they can run the World Cup. They are a civilised country and we should be going there.
Quite possibly, but I agree with Simon. I think Russia and Qatar are an entirely different kettle of fish. I think Russia always had the allure of culture and art and, fascinating, intriguing history.
But politically, I mean, Russia, be very crude
Yes.
about it, Russia at the moment is involved in backing, the killing of children in Syria. That's why people said we shouldn't be going there and legitimising them as a country.
But do you think that's a big enough impediment that they wouldn't go to Russia? I think I'm not sure it is that, or the poisoning of the Skripals. I think it's more that it's a faff to get to Russia. It's expensive. You have to get a visa. I think it's more to do with the ease of getting there, and also probably things like I think of Russia as being a frozen frozen cold Siberia. And actually, when you think of beautiful Sochi soaking in the sun, and it's got so much going for it that it seems bizarre that so few Brits are going out there.
From a business point of view, Qatar is going to be absolutely fascinating, because part of the reason any country wants to host the World Cup is because you get a huge inflow of people creating lots and lots of wealth. But I don't think that's going to happen, because for a start, most of the fans I've spoken to, and I've met quite a few World Cup regulars, say, yeah, well, we were going to be basing ourselves in Dubai and flying in. We're not sure what we're going to do now because of this geopolitical spat that's happening there. And I think you might even find that the England team, assuming they qualify, you can never take that for granted, will base themselves somewhere like Cyprus. 1,200 miles from Qatar, because it's the only sensible way to approach it. The whole thing's mad, and it would not surprise me if the more questions are asked that should have been asked well before the Qatar was awarded it, that we might find that it could be held anywhere else for more effectively and more entertainingly and more welcomingly.
And before we let you go, Brexit, it's coming. I'm sure things like open skies will remain, but what do you see on your beat as being the big unresolved issue?
Can I stop you there, Olly? Open skies, okay, so the right of any European airline to fly between any 2 points in Europe, and that has seen, of course, Ryanair becoming a giant from the UK. It's seen EasyJet setting up really good pan-European options.
Yeah. Do you think that's up for negotiation?
Well, of course it is. Everything's up for negotiation, and even though we seem to have an
hurt Europe enormously, wouldn't it, if that didn't form part of the deal?
What? No. Do you think that France and Germany and Italy like the fact that the UK and Ireland are totally dominant in low-cost aviation? No, they want to cause as much harm as they possibly can.
OK, so open skies is potentially an issue. Right. What else might be an issue with Brexit from your point?
How long have you got? The main thing, I think, is going to be all the impediments to free movement. At the moment, of course, whether you want to go and live in Austria or you want to go to Calais on a booze cruise, you just turn up and say, I'm an EU citizen, thank you very much, let me in, here I am. It's going to be much, much trickier once we leave, and ETIAS, the Electronic Travel Information and Authorisation System, is in place. You're going to have to pay €7, which opens up all sorts of scope for scam websites, as we've seen with the US, with Turkey, with Canada and so on. It's going to get very nasty, and also it's just going to put an impediment, because you're going to have to do all that, and then we go and queue up in that long queue, and we have no automatic right of being able to breeze into other people's countries. But of course, on top of that, you have everything from mobile phones. Are we still going to get free roaming? EHIC, the right to reciprocal healthcare. So many things which 2 years on from the referendum, it is absolutely staggering that we have not a clue.
But Felicity, you get to have your blue passport proudly.
Oh, well, yes, that makes it all better, doesn't it, Olly?
Objection, Your Honour. I met lots of Croatian fans, and they were very pleased and very amused to show me their dark blue passports.
Simon, thank you for that. That was your business briefing for this week. My thanks to Simon Calder and to Felicity Capon, and of course to our sponsor, Barclays Corporate Banking. We will be back in a fortnight with another bonus episode like this, so subscribe to hear that, and the main show, The Week Unwrapped, where we cover 3 stories that have flown under the radar every week. You can find all of those on your podcatcher of choice, or find us at theweekunwrapped.com. I've been Olly Mann. The music is by Tom Morby, the producer Matt Hill at Rethink Audio. Until next time, bye-bye.